Welcome friends. Today topic is cooling tower. The cooling tower are very important part of chimney. Part of many chemical plants. The primary task of cooling tower is to reject heat into the atmosphere. They represent a relatively inexpensive and dependable means of removing low-grade heat from cooling water. The makeup water source is used to replenish water lost to evaporation. Hot water from heat exchanger is sent to the cooling tower. The water exits the cooling tower and sent it back to the exchanger or to the other unit of further cooling. The typical closed loop cooling tower system is shown in the slide. Here the cooling tower gets the hot water from the plant heat exchangers, and the process of cooling tower is to reduce the hot water temperature and send again to the plant heat exchangers. During the cooling process, the cooling tower extract the air from atmosphere with either natural or forced draft fans. Okay. Then the types of cooling tower. First, the cooling towers fall into two main categories. One is natural draft and another one is mechanical draft. In natural draft towers use very large concrete chimneys to introduce air through the media. Due to the large size of these towers, they are generally used for water flow rate above 45,000 metric cube per hour. These types of towers are usually used only by utility power stations. Then second one, mechanical draft towers utilize large fan to force or suck air through circulated water. The water falls downwards over fill surface, which helps increase the contact time between the water and the air. This helps maximize heat transfer between these two. Cooling rates of mechanical draft towers depend upon their fan diameter and speed of operation. Since the mechanical draft cooling towers are much more widely used, the focus in topic are also. In mechanical draft cooling towers, we have in following airflow arrangements. One is counterflow induced draft, second counterflow forced draft, and third counterflow induced draft. In a counterflow induced draft design, hot water enters the top while air is introduced at the bottom and exists at the top. Both forced and induced draft fans are used. In a cross flow induced draft towers, the water enters the top and passes over the fill. The air, however, is introduced at the side either on one side or opposite sides. And induced draft fan draw the air across the wetted fill and expels it through the top of the structure. The figure illustrates various cooling tower types. Mechanical draft towers are available in the large range of capacities. Normal capacity range from approximately 10 tons to 2.5 metric cube per hour flow to several thousands tons and metric cube per hour. Towers can be factory built or field erected. For example, concrete towers are only field erected. Many towers are constructed so that they can be grouped together to achieve the desired capacity. Thus, many cooling towers are assemblies of two or more individual cooling towers or cells. The number of cells they have, 8 cell tower often refers to such towers. Multiple cells towers can be linear, square, or round depending upon the shape of the individual cells and whether the air inlet are located on the sides or bottom of the cells. Then next topic is components of cooling tower. The basic components of an evaporative towers are frame, casing, fill, cold water basin, draft eliminators, air inlets, lowers, nozzles and fans. First one is frame and casing. Most towers have structural frames that support the exterior enclosures, motors, fans and other components. With some smaller designs such as some glass fiber units, the casing may essentially to be the frame. Then second part is fill. Most towers employ fills made up of plastic or wood to facilitate heat transfer by maximizing water and air contact. Fill can either to splash or film type. With the flash fill, water falls over a successive layers of horizontal splash bars, continuously breaking into smaller droplets while also wetting the fill surface. Plastic splash fill promotes better heat transfer than the wood splash fill. Film fill consists of thin, closely spaced plastic surfaces over which the water spreads, forming a thin film in contact with the air. This surface may be flat, corrugated, honeycombed, or other patterns. The film type of fill is the more efficient and provides same heat transfer in smaller volume than the splash fill. And third, cold water basin. The cold water basin located at or near the bottom of the tower receives the cooled water that flows down through the tower and fill. The basin usually has a sump or low point. In some forced draft counterflow design, however, the water at the bottom of the fill is channeled to the perimeter through the functions as a cold water basin. Propeller fans are mounted beneath the fill to blow the air up through the tower. With this design, the tower is mounted on legs, provided easy access to the fans and other motors. Then third one is drift eliminators. This capture water droplets entrapped in the air stream and otherwise would be lost to the atmosphere. And next, air inlet. This is the point of entry of air entering the tower. The inlet may take up an entire side of tower. Cross flow design or be located low on the side of bottom of counterflow design. Then louvers. Generally, cross flow towers have inlet louvers. The purpose of louvers is to equalize airflow into the fill and retain the water within the tower. Many counterflow towers designed do not require louvers. The nozzles. This provides the water sprays to the wet the fill. Uniform water distribution at the top of the fill is essential to achieve proper wetting of entire fill surface. Nozzle can either to be fixed in the place and have the either round or square spray patterns, or can be part of rotating assembly as found in some circular cross-section towers. Then fans. Both axial and centrifugal fans are used in towers. Generally, propeller fans are used in induced drift towers, and both propeller and centrifugal fans are found in forced drift towers. Depending upon their size, propeller fans can either to be fixed or variable pitch. A fan having non-automatic adjustable pitch blades permits the same fan to be used over a wide range of kilowatt with the fan adjust to deliver the desired airflow at the lowest power consumption. Automatic variable pitch blades can vary is airflow in response to changing the load conditions. Then tower materials. In earlier days of cooling tower manufacture, towers were constructed primarily of wood. Wooden components included the frame, casing, louvers, fill, and often the cold water basin. If the basin was not of wood, it likely was of concrete. Today, towers manufacturers fabricate towers and low tower components from a variety of materials. Galvanized steel, various grades of steel, glass fiber, and concrete are widely used in tower construction, as well as aluminum and various types of plastics for some components. Then cooling tower performance. The important parameter from the point of determining the performance of cooling towers are represented in the figure. For approach, range. What is range? Range is the difference between cooling water inlet and outlet, and approach is the difference between the cooling tower outlet cold water temperature and ambient wet bulb temperature. Although both range and approach should be monitored, the approach is the better indicator of cooling tower performance. Then cooling tower effectiveness is the ratio of range to the ideal range. That is difference between cooling water inlet temperature and ambient wet bulb temperature. In mathematical point of view, the cooling tower effectiveness in the percentage which is equal to range divided by range plus approach. Then cooling capacity is nothing but heat transfer from hot water from the heat exchanger to air, which is nothing but mc by delta T. Then next, Evaporation loss is the water quantity evaporated for cooling duty, theoretically for every 10 lakh 1000 kilocalorie heat rejected. Evaporation quantity works out to 1.8 meter cube. An empirical relation used for often is evaporation loss, which is meter cube per hour during cooling operation. The evaporation loss means the air is passed over the, it's a direct contact type heat exchanger, therefore air is passed to through the cooling hot water. The hot water is from up from the top, and air from the bottom, they are mixing and the temperature reduce. At the same time, the sum of moisture is evaporates and mixed to the air in the form of superheated steam and escape to the atmosphere. This is the evaporation loss, which is equal to some empirical equation, which is equal to 0.00085 into 1.8 into correct circulation rate into T1 minus T2. The T1 minus T2 is temperature difference between inlet and outlet water, and cycle of concentration. Circulation rate is water flow rate, and next performance parameter is cycle of concentration. It's abbreviated COC. Is the ratio of dissolved solids in circulated water to the dissolved solids in makeup water. Then blow down losses depend upon cycle of concentration and the evaporation loss, and is given by relation. Already all of you known what is blow down. Blow down is removal of dissolved particles from the water. Then the blow down is equal to evaporation loss divided by COC minus 1, because evaporation loss is a cause for addition of makeup water. In makeup waters there is some dissolved materials are there, therefore which is the cycle of concentration. Then the particles must be removed through blow down operation. Therefore the blow down loss is evaporation loss divided by COC minus 1. Then liquid gas ratio is a very important parameter while computing the cooling tower performance. A cooling tower is a ratio between the water and airflow rates. In thermodynamically, the energy balance between them, cooling tower and gas, L into T1 minus T2 is equal to G into H2 minus H1. L is a liquid which is hot water from the exchanger, and G is a airflow rate, and T1 T2 are cooling water inlet and hot water inlet and exit temperatures, and H2 minus H1 is the air inlet and enthalpy of air inlet and exit. Then efficient system operation. First one is cooling water treatment. Cooling water system is one of the critical utility in power plants, process industries, and in air conditioning systems. The power plant performance, chiller performance have direct effect on energy consumption based on cooling tower temperature, which in turn is maintained by good cooling water treatment. The various problems in cooling water system and corrective measures required are discussed below. First one, water side problem, which are corrosion and or scale formation, then biological, microbiological falling, and deposit formation. The first one is corrosion, being not a precisely understood phenomenon, is a function of various factors, of which the following are the main factors responsible for promoting corrosion in the system: high salinity of the water, low pH, low alkalinity, presence of corrosive gases, mainly oxygen and CO2, dissimilarity of metals. Well, those are the reason for the corrosion. Corrosion can either lead to failure of the metallurgy and or deposit formation of corrosion products. Then scale formation. The main source of the scale formation in the open evaporative condenser circuit are hard water containing high levels of calcium and magnesium, high level of pH and alkalinity, and open evaporative cooling systems operated on softened water can meet with severe scaling problems when pH of the circulating water is above 9. The total alkalinity as calcium carbonate is above 550 ppm. Temporary hardness in the source of makeup water is above 200 ppm. Then biological or microbiological falling. Systems exposed to sunlight often meet with the severe problem of algae formation. Other problems associated with algae are slim moss, fungi, and various species of bacteria. Bacteria being miniature bodies of which growth is not controlled and can lead to the formation of fine masses of suspended particles that lead to falling and deposit formation. Algae obviously block the nozzles of the cooling tower and thus reduce temperature drops of the tower. Slim masses again are responsible for falling and deposit formation. Then deposit formation, foreign matter such as turbidity, sand, slit, mud, airborne debris and other suspended impurities are the sources of deposit formation. Corrosion products that are formed also add to the deposit formation. Then next, drift loss in the cooling towers. It is the very different. It is very difficult to ignore drift from the cooling towers. Nowadays, most of the end user specification calls 0.00% of drift loss. Then, then the next parameter, cooling tower fans. The purpose of cooling tower fans is to move a specified quantity of air through the system, overcome the system resistance which is defined as the pressure loss. The product of airflow and pressure loss is the air power developed work done by the fan. This may also termed as the fan output, and input depends on the fan efficiency. The fan efficiency in turn is greatly depend on the profile of blades. Cases reported where replacement of metallic or glass fiber reinforced plastic fans have been replaced by efficient hollow FRP blades, with resultant fan energy savings of order of 2 to 30% and with a simple payback period of 6 to 7 months. Also, due to lightweight FRP fans need to low starting torque resulting in use of lower HP motors. The lightweight of the fans also increase the life of the gearbox, motor and bearing is the allows for easy handling and maintenance. Then performance assessment of cooling towers. In operational performance assessment, the typical measurement and observations involved are cooling tower design data and curves to be referred to as basis. Intake air WBT and DBT at each cell at ground level using a whirling psychrometer. Exhaust air WBT and DBT at each cell using whirling psychrometer. Cooling water inlet temperature at rises or top of tower using accurate mercury in glass or a digital thermometer. Cooling water outlet temperature of full bottom using accurate mercury in glass a digital thermometer. Process data on heat exchanger, loads in online or power plant control room reading as relevant. Then cooling water flow measurement either direct or inferred from pump motor, kilowatt and pump head and flow characteristics. Cooling tower fan motor, volts, kilowatt and blade angle settings. TDS of cooling water, rated cycle of concentration at the site of conditions. Observations on nozzle flow, drift eliminators, conditions of fills, splash bars, etc. Then the energy saving opportunities in cooling tower. Follow manufacturer recommended clearance around cooling towers and relocate or modify structure that interface with the air intake or exhaust. Optimize cooling tower fan blade angle on seasonal and or load basis. Correct excessive and or uneven fan blade tip clearance and poor fan balance. On old counterflow cooling towers, replace old spray type nozzles with new square spray ABS practically non-clogging nozzles. Replace splash bars with self-extinguishing PVC cellular film. Install new nozzles to obtain more uniform water pattern. Periodically clean plugged cooling tower distribution nozzles. Balance flow to cooling tower hot water basins. Cover hot water basins to minimize algae growth that contributing to falling. Optimize blowdown flow rate as per COC limit. Replace slat type drift eliminators with low pressure drop self-extinguishing PVC cellulose units. Restrict flow through large loads to design values. Then monitor L by G ratio periodically and monitor approach effectiveness and cooling capacity for continuous optimization efforts as per seasonal variation as well as load side variations. Consider COC, which is concentration of on cycles, improvement measure for water savings, consider energy efficient FRP blades, adoption for fan energy savings, consider possible improvements on cooling water pumps with respect to efficient improvement, control cooling tower fan based on leaving water temperature, especially in case of small units. Okay, thank you.